quick shout out, guys, to our sponsors, Anglesey Family Chiropractic. They're in Coeur d'Alene. They're in Spokane Valley. Dr. Craig Anglesey, I've known this dude for 30 plus years. He's an amazing family man. Awesome chiropractor, will get you feeling great. Go check him out. Hey, I also want to give a shout out to the Threads podcast, Life Unfiltered. Look, listening to this show is like sitting around a campfire with your best friends. The talk is real, the humor is natural, and personal growth is sparked by authenticity. Go check them out. Threads podcast, Life Unfiltered.
John, you're a 5-time #1 international bestseller. You're the CEO of Evolve Systems Group, tons more. Thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Great to be here, mate. Thanks.
I like to go back on my shows and kind of get the real you. What was childhood like for you? Where did you grow up, man?
I had a pretty interesting childhood because I lived in a railway siding with like 3 people.
Whoa.
So, right.
Okay.
And I did school of the air, which basically meant was that you do remote school. You don't ever go to a school.
Okay.
And I was like a year ahead. So I finally had to go to school when I was like grade 10 or something. And I was actually a year ahead. So I'd done everything. So it was quite cool. Yeah. But I used to just go out and wander around the bush and, catch snakes or lizards or all sorts of stuff when I was a kid, right? So I had a really good childhood.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like what happened was it came to a grinding halt when my father came to the other house. We lived in 2 houses, came to a house and said, well, if you're not out by this afternoon, I'm going to shoot you. So we decided to leave, as you do, right?
Yeah.
And we were on the run from him for like 2 years. I was 13. I was on the run from him for about 2 years. So,
oh my gosh.
And I actually ended up living down the road from him. I didn't even know that. I was I moved to a town, a city, and he was living in a retirement village. I used to drive past the retirement village every day until I found out that he died. And that was the day that I actually realized he was actually there. So is that bizarre, right? So, so it was kind of an interesting child. I joined the bank when I was 15. So I actually joined a bank and it was my first job, first interview, first job. And so I could say 100% success rate in employment interviews.
Yeah.
And so, I worked for them for 10 years, learned all these systems and stuff. And so it was kind of like by the time I was 25, 27, the computer industry sort of went off and, computers started coming out and I sort of got into that. So we ended up selling accounting software. We're the second largest accounting provider in the world at one point there.
Okay.
And so like a very interesting, I think every 10 years I'll get sick of something and do something new.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because we grew up in the bush, you get more self-reliant, you get more self-dependent. You have to look after yourself. You have to don't do stupid things. You're going to fall over, break your leg when you're walking around the bush. Well, then you're doomed, right?
Yeah.
When you're on your own. And so it was kind of like, that scenario where, so it helps in business, I think. That's the one thing that I look back on. The bank gave me systems that most businesses don't follow.
Yeah.
And the bush gave me, resilience and street smarts, if you like.
Right.
So, it's a very interesting childhood. I even run my own little businesses. I had chook businesses in my books. I talk about my chook businesses when I was like 10.
Wow.
So, yeah.
What a cool story. Thanks for sharing that.
Got a book about that whole story because that's interesting. There's a lot of little things in between all that.
Right. Wow. Well, one of the books you wrote is called 5 Stages of Entrepreneurial Success, and a lot of the listeners of my show, right there, yeah. One of those 5 stages, and what do potential entrepreneurs expect to get out of the book from you?
Well, when I sat down and sort of had to think about the book and what I would write a book about, and literally I wrote this book in 2 weeks.
Okay.
It's a 220-page book because everything I had was either in my head or on paper and stuff I'd done for clients over the years. So basically, I've been through thousands of businesses from accounting software to marketing. So I'd seen all angles. And what I realized was that it was kind of like 5 stages. We sort of wanted to sort of give a success path. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can see that very clear in the picture there, but on the back of the book, there's like these little men that we drew. Okay. Which I think took longer to do than the book. It's drove me insane, those pictures. But so basically the idea was, well, okay, what do you start as a founder? So you're looking at, that's the fun bit, right? That's the bit you're looking around thinking what I'm going to do. It's all fresh and new. You come up with this great idea. And so that's kind of the level what you should be thinking about then, what you should be looking at. So these are stages that they should come back to sometimes as well. So it's not like you don't just go, you've got past that. So founder level was like you're getting started, and then you had explorer to figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there was organize, and that's getting everything organized, open bank accounts and setting up websites, stuff like that. Then investing in your business in time and money, and then eventually we're called Time Master.
Gotcha.
So everybody wants to be the time master, right? So that's an automated business. So it wasn't written for a bricks and mortar business so much. It's written for an online, like a podcast taster or an online content creator or something like that. Someone who's selling something online.
Yeah.
And what stages they should have gone through and the basic business principles of all that. And so whenever I talk to someone, I go, did you really think about your customer at the start? No, you didn't, did you? Right. Because what you've done is you've actually just jumped on it and great idea, let's go with it. Somebody the other day said, I want to start a dating app. And I said, why the hell would you want to do that? Well, that's nuts. Like, have you thought about that? No. Have you thought about this? No. It's like, you just came up with this great idea. We call it, if you ever read the book called The E-Myth, it's called You Have an Entrepreneurial Seizure.
Okay.
So what happens is you actually just, that's a great idea, let's do that. And then you don't actually go check out anything, right? You just assume that the customer is going to be there. You just assume that people will buy from you. And that's the problem I see, is that lack of planning and strategy at the start. Same when we do books for clients. We have a strategy call with them 9 times out of 10. I spoke to someone yesterday, done this book, not really making any sales. They're looking at us, I can see why. You didn't think about it at the start. Yeah. You actually wrote this book on vanity and then try to make it logical by trying to sell it that way, right? So that strategy is kind of the bit that people miss out on.
Yeah.
And really figuring out who your customer is the one that, they don't typically do because they don't think they know.
That was me. When I started my company in 2012, that was totally me. I was just wanted to get in and I had an idea and didn't think about the customer at all. I just thought, I'm going to do a t-shirt thing, and it was, and it was strange. Over the years, I had ups and downs of excitement. And at one point I even tried to sell my business. And then I realized, oh no, I'm going to start this podcast. And here we are today. But
it's funny how it works. But I think it comes full circle. You learn through, like, I've been through a lot of business. I think failing is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And so you learn what to do. So nowadays when someone says to me, I've got a great business idea, the first question I ask is, who's your customer? How much can you charge them? And can you make a profit out of this? And they go, oh no, I was just thinking about, so hang on a minute, the basics, right? And that, I think that's a danger in today's businesses, is that it's so easy to start a business. When before it was hard, you had to have a bricks and mortar, you had to have all these licenses, it was much, much tougher.
Yeah.
Now you can basically just start. I mean, I could start a business tomorrow,
Sure.
and away you go. And I think the danger then is it's too easy.
Yeah.
If you get married, you get a marriage license. When you get business, you get a business license. But all this is a piece of paper, so you got that name. That's it. Right? You don't learn anything.
Yeah. One of your other books is about a book publishing secrets. A lot of folks, wanting to put those books out. If someone reads that book, what are they going to get out of that?
There's a fella there. Just got a hook of the finger.
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically what we did is, part of the problem with that book was we had another book called Everything You Know About Marketing Is Wrong.
Yeah.
And that was the other one there. So probably don't pick that one up.
Yeah.
And so we were getting a lot of book clients, and we thought we should write a book about how to write a book. Right? Because and so we started there. And that's what you call wrapping a business around a book, right? And the thing was that what I did is I actually thought, well, I'm going to write this book as if I'm doing the work for the client. So I'm actually giving them everything. So we wrote everything that we do for a client that we charge quite a lot of money for, by the way.
Sure.
Except one thing is how we get a bestseller. So we tell them how to get to a point where they can write a best-selling book and position themselves for it. But then it's on them to try and get that achievement, because that's something we charge quite a lot for. So we were actually the whole process, but guess what we did? We start with design. So we actually had 5 stages again. Mm-hmm. So what I realized when I write books is have a success path. All right. That dawned on me after going to doing some course stuff. Is that if you tell the client where they're going, where they are, then they can get a bit of an idea. So say you haven't written a book at all, you have no idea what to write about, you start with design stage. If you've got to write the book and you're trying to figure out how to publish it, you go back to design stage. Because what's happened is you probably made mistakes. So the idea is that you pick where you are in the scheme of things and go backwards and check whether you're okay, and then you go forwards. And so we wrote it in a 5-step process to actually show them how to publish a book. We talk a little bit about how to write a book, but it's really about how to actually write a non-fiction book and actually make it worthwhile for your business. And that's the bit that I see. And all these mistakes, I see when people come to me and say, look, I wrote this book, can't sell it. It's not working for me. I sold the dream, but it didn't work. It's because they didn't think about it properly at the start. They really didn't understand who they were writing for. The one yesterday said to me, I wrote this book designed because she was a heart attack survivor. Okay. And how she went through it all. And she wrote a book about that. And when she went to the publisher convinced her to go broad. So she went for a self-help book. rather than a book focused on heart attack.
Yeah.
Because, that'd be hard. Because to them, it was harder for them to sell.
Sure.
They wanted to go broad, right? I said, you should have gone deep, not broad.
Right.
And you write a book for one person. When we talk to people, we say we write a book for one person, no video, just the one person, the best customer. And so all that kind of advice and all those mistakes that we've done in the last 3 or 4 years, I've been involved about 1,500 books.
Wow.
And so, like you look at it and go, well, I can see the mistakes a mile off, right?
Sure.
But they can't see it. It's too bright, right?
Yeah.
Because they love writing the book, right? That's the thing. I think the biggest problem is like business. You write a book, it's your baby. You get emotionally attached to it. You get very protective. You won't listen to anybody else. And your well-meaning friends will tell you it's either really good or really bad, whichever they are, right? But you get a very fuzzy picture of what you're supposed to be doing. So that was just like stage. It's a process.
Yeah.
But because you've never done it before, you don't know how to get there. Like it's like a map, right? If you've never been somewhere before, you don't have a map. And so that was kind of what we wanted to do. And so we added bonuses to it as well.
Okay.
So strictly speaking, for like $20, you could publish your own book. Which we would literally probably charge $15,000, $20,000 for.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. You've done a lot of businesses. You kind of touched base on this earlier, but what's a major failure that you had and how did you get through that?
I think the failure in some respects is recognizing when something's not working and decide to get out of it, not to stick in and pig-headed.
Yeah.
I was in a business, the Sage business that we were in, the accounting software. We got I could write a book about that. We got attacked by our own supplier. So we had we call it the 7-year war. So we went through the 7 years of war, and I look back at it and it gave me bowel cancer. I'm sure of it. I got bowel cancer at the end of that thing. And so what happened was I dug in too much. I got pig-headed about it, but we got into survival mode. So we're making decisions in fear. And when I look back at it now, I could see an easy way that I could unwrap that thing up in about 2 years or less and got out of it. But I stuck it out thinking that it's going to get better. It's like a gambler, right? You go and you put some more money in it. You think it's going to get better. But the cold, hard reality was that I was doomed. He said to me one day, it's like holding back the tide. Right. And if I'd realized that, I would have saved myself 5 years worth of stress and anxiety and all that sort of stuff if I hadn't dug in. And so it's very hard to know, right? And some people say, I stuck with this thing and now it's Uber or it's PayPal or something, right?
Yeah.
But I've got to tell you, sometimes you just got to, do the gambler.
Yes.
When to hold them, when to fold them.
Right. Absolutely. Do you think anyone could be an entrepreneur?
I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
Because I think some people aren't built for it.
Right.
I think entrepreneurs are born, not made.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think you can learn to be one and you can do the work, but most people I found that should have never been an entrepreneur are the ones that keep on saying, I'll go and get a job if it doesn't work. As soon as they say that to me, I go, okay, you're not an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through this quite a few times. I'll go and get just a fratting myself. I think I'll go and get a job. I've had enough of this. No, I can earn more in a day than I can earn in a month in a job. I'm not doing it. And I think that's the trick. Actually, in my book, we've got a thing, should you start a business? And it's a questionnaire.
Yeah.
I go through and ask all these personal questions. It's like, in my suit, you like the old, magazine thing where, are you suitable with your partner thing, right? Right, yeah. and so we do that kind of question. And it's kind of designed to kind of give you an idea and you rank the score at the end. And so whether you really should even go into business. And I think if you don't have a risk level that you feel that you can take risks and you can live with them so you don't wake up stressed and all that sort of stuff. I mean, all the years of that 7-year thing, I still slept like a baby. Like I never woke up in the middle of the night in a cold hard sweat thinking I got to do something. Right. I always slept like a baby because I knew what I was doing, the risk I could handle. Yeah. And I think that's the problem. If you can't handle the risk, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? Right. But I see so many small businesses destroy themselves because they should have never done it. They aren't built for it. And they put themselves under so much pressure. And then when they fail, they then basically will never touch it again. I'm never doing a small business again. I'm doing this again because I failed. And so failure is the other thing. If they can't handle failure, then again, it's the one that should get, you should be, you say, great, I want failure. I want things to fail. Because when you fail, you learn so much more than success.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What projects are you working on right now?
So out of all of this, right, what came out of it with authors and also the business book, which we originally wrote for purpose. So that original book was written before we did this project. Okay. And so what I normally do is I write a book about what I'm going to do. All right. So I want to try and write a book a year. That's why I got 5 books. Nice. And so it's a platform. So we looked at a scenario where a content creator or a podcaster like you or someone that's trying to get into business online is a very big daunting task. How do you grow? How do you get subscribers in? How do you get your podcast pages up? How do you all those techie stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got to be able to promote it and do that sort of stuff. So we wrote a platform called Evolvepreneur.app. Same as Magazine.
Right.
Camera. And so what the idea was to really be able to do in 2 weeks what it would take you 2 years. That's the goal.
Gotcha.
And the idea is that you can be up and running in a few hours, and then you can start selling stuff and doing all the things you need to do following the book. So I basically wrote a book about it, knowing in my head pretty much the way I wanted the software to look. Yeah. And then we started developing it.
Okay.
And so we wanted to try and make this piece of software almost you could do within a few hours, a few days, what normally would take a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of knowledge and a lot of techie people running around and all that kind of thing. Because I see a lot of, I've been in the software game a long time. Somehow I ended up back in it because I quite like it. And just realized that after. And so what happened was I thought, well, we've got to make it a business system. So all the ones out there in the marketplace are all individually solving problems. So they might solve a problem. You might look at WordPress or something. It's solving a blog and website problem. Then you add e-commerce to it and it becomes a mess. Or you know what I mean? Like, so all these individual solutions are great, but what they don't do is they don't give you a business system, an end-to-end system.
Right.
And what we want to do is, hey, create a podcast. Oh, you want to add a product? No worries. You want to charge people money? Oh, no worries. Do that. You want an affiliate program? Do that. I want to build this. I want to add another site. Yeah, do that. And those things to allow you to, because I know what's going to happen next. So after doing all these websites for people and set up business and stuff, I know what they're going to ask next. Mm. And so we need to be just ahead of them. It's like the Catch Me If You Can movie where the guy was pretending to be someone else. Yeah. He asked the real guy once, how did you manage to pretend to be a college professor? And he said, well, I was just one lesson plan ahead of everyone else.
Right.
Right. And so, he didn't have to learn, Yeah. And so I think it's what we're going to do. It's got to be one module ahead of everyone else.
Right.
As to what they're going to want to do next. So that's kind of my passion project because it really annoys me when I spoke to someone yesterday, thousands and thousands of dollars spent on doing all these stuff the gurus told them. But you know what the reality was? They should have just done one little thing, got that done properly, and then grew it. But as soon as they tried to grow, all the software didn't work for them. Right. So So I think in my head, in my heart, it's $100 million company one day. But basically we just want to kind of being very careful who we take on because we obviously make sure we fulfill requirements.
Sure.
But we're not that expensive. There's no more expensive than building a website, but you walk away with a business system, a way to actually make money. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. Mm.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to do a transition to just a couple fun questions here before we end. I've got these things, they're called pod decks, and they really helped me out. And they are just random, awesome questions.
Oh, so you don't have to ask the same question every week.
Right, yeah. So I've got about 100 different choices here. So let's see what I can pull out. Hopefully it's not a
No worries. I'm scared now.
Oh, this is a pretty fun one. What happened on your worst date?
My worst date? I got a bit too friendly too early, man.
That's awesome.
She never spoke to me again.
I'm a music guy, so I always love to ask this question. What's a favorite music type for you, or do you have a favorite band that you like to listen to?
Oh, God. I kind of like everything. I kind of like grabbing. Rock is probably my best one. Like I grew up in the 90s when there was a lot of rock and stuff around. So I think probably some sort of rock music, it's like Meatloaf. I went and saw him once, like Meatloaf. I really love Meatloaf.
Yeah.
The guys, he had a heart attack and everything. Like the guy's was bad shape. He's got better now, but he basically, I had a lot of respect for him, and I kind of grew up with him. You know what I mean? So that kind of music, with a bit of, something with a bit of a story to it and a bit of emotion to it. I think that's the problem with a lot of songs nowadays. It's kind of like just manufactured. In my opinion, you don't get that really, deep stuff.
Yeah. Last question for you. What's your go-to cheat meal or sweet tooth item that you have to go get?
Good question. So sweet. I don't mind apple pie, man. I think that's probably pretty good. I don't mind apple pie. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. John, it's such an honor to have you on my show today. Thank you so much for taking time. This was so much fun. I'm excited for what you got rolling out, and I think the app's going to be just absolutely killer for anybody looking to start a business and really just get going with it. So thank you for taking the time and sharing your story.
Cool. Thanks for being such a great host. It's really great fun when someone's a great host.
What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for watching this video today. I really appreciate it. If you could go and share this everywhere you can, leave us a review, leave us a rating. We would really appreciate it. That helps us get the word spread out about our podcast and about our show, and we can bring you amazing stories of the people that we bring on for the Bearded Biz and the Top Rated MMA show. Thank you again. Have an awesome day.